That's what this country needs. It needs to see strong, masculine men handling business. And I agree. And I was in Mario's space earlier. They was talking about it, and it was a whole bunch of people there, basically simping and supporting Zelenskyy, saying JD Vance, that was unprofessional, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, they just overlooked everything. And my friend also said, can you imagine if that woman was president, what that conversation would have been like? So, and I agree with him. I agree. So, Peter, you could say what you want to say. Let's start it off with you, and then we'll go to the speakers.
I agree with you 1,000%. I think, for her to be in there, we dodged a major bullet. I think we'd be going into massive additional spending and potentially going into a World War III situation, because I think it would have emboldened Putin to grab even more. I think the adults are back in the room, which was a favorite phrase of theirs when Biden was elected. I think they really are back in the room, and I think you did see male power projection and true leadership on stage today. This guy comes to us. We already gave him $350 billion, and he's trying to pop off and say things against our country. We basically supported his existence and the whole country's existence up until this point. So I totally agree with that, and I think it's good for the country to see that men being men, and getting back into the role of power, which is what you see, the dynamic between the masculine and the feminine. So I'm totally with it. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. My mom actually called me while it was happening, and she's like, you have to turn on the TV. Like, this is incredible right now. Zelenskyy just got thrown out of the White House. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then I came on X and I saw the exchange, and it was incredible. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'm gonna go to Rock.
Hey Dana, hey to the room. I love all your spaces. I love the content that you put on YouTube. But when I initially saw it, I thought it was AI. I couldn't believe that it was real. And they checked Zelensky so hard, I thought they was gonna say, "Boy, listen here." I mean, I was rolling. But it is what we need as a country. And as far as the Al Sharpton boycott, I know this is a later topic, but I'm a driver, so I may not have a signal when you guys go into it, but I will stay tuned in. I just think that, he's like so detrimental. He's a big fraud, and I don't understand why he's still getting the support he's getting. But thank you for the mic, thank you for the space, and I'll keep listening.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and be safe out there driving. Andy.
Yeah, what's happening, Dana?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I had to pull up early tonight. Yeah, I was gonna ask the question, like, what was weak about what Zelensky was saying though? Like, I just, and then anybody want to answer that? I got another follow-up question, but I just want to know, what was weak about him, fighting against Russia and the takeover of his country, and what's so weak about that? I mean, are we pro-Russian now? I mean, I need somebody to answer that.
Well, I think Zelenskyy is a puppet, right? If you go back to 2014 when they took Crimea, this was actually put in place by Victoria Nuland. If you want to Google her and see the type of deep state swamp rat that she is, we actually did a coup d'etat and influenced the revolution that took power with the puppet that we put in place, which is Zelenskyy. He was an actor. So he's ignoring all of the history, and he's ignoring why this happened. And this happened because we decided to expand NATO and encroach upon every single neighbor of Russia. Imagine if the Chinese decided to put missile batteries and Iron Dome technology in Mexico. What would we say about that? So what they did is basically poke the bear and put Putin in his position to force's hand. And this was done by the deep state so they can continue with the military industrial complex, continue the weapon sales, and then spark a new fear that controls all the American people, pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. That's exactly why we were laughing at Zelensky.
So basically helping Putin win, right? That's what you're saying?
I don't think we're helping Putin win in any way, shape, or form. I think we're resetting.
Man, come on, bro.
Well, I'm trying to answer it. I think we're resetting the global agenda, and we're setting new boundaries up, basically with the Russian Federation, as well as with showing what we're going to do with China, because I think that's a real threat with Taiwan. And I think
so continuing to go into other people's countries, destabilizing it, putting in a puppet leader, and like we do everywhere else. So just continuing that same policy. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think. I think this is a resetting of that, because that's exactly what happened under the Obama administration, was doing exactly what you said. And so I think
that's the United States of America policy for all of them.
Well,
please stop.
Absolutely.
Please stop.
No, absolutely. I think historically you have seen that, but I think we're entering a new paradigm, potentially, where we're looking to set up peace agreements with two other major powers, Russia and China. And Trump has actually talked about using this as a springboard to have nuclear non-proliferation treaties go into place, and reduction of our nuclear facility drawdown. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't know you were speaking. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying because you babbling.
I know, I'm a babbler. Yep.
So you calling peace just bending the knee to whatever Trump wants? That's what you call peace?
No, what I call peace is using a soft power approach and making a deal with individual countries to bring economic prosperity to everyone in America. Our goal is to keep the U.S. dollar as a main staying point for now.
Threatening World War III is a soft power approach.
How does this threat? Please explain to me. Please educate me, Indy. Please, I need your educational guidance here. Educate me how this begins World War III, rather than continuing to engage with Russia.
No, Trump should have told you that. He the one said it.
Well, no, you made the statement, so please educate me. I need your knowledge.
I heard him say it.
You're my teacher.
I heard him say it, and I watched the same interview that you watched. I watched the same interview that you watched. Correct. And he said that.
He said what? Who clarify this, please.
Oh, so now you're going to play dumb like you didn't hear him say that to Zelensky. Okay.
You're saying Trump.
Never mind.
What did Trump say?
Never mind. We see what you're going to do.
No,
Never mind.
Tell me. You made a statement. Please explain your statement. You have the stage, sir.
Trump made the statement. What are you talking about?
Well, what was his statement? I didn't hear his statement. What did he say?
He told Zelensky that if he didn't agree to his terms, that he was trying to start World War III.
That's not what he said.
He was, matter of fact,
he threatened. He said you are playing with World War III,
which would end with Zelensky's country getting destroyed, which is what he was really saying. He didn't say it those words, but that's what he was insinuating. Ain't nobody dumb over here. Please stop. Please stop, bro.
He said he was playing with World War III. In order to be able to...
You know what he said, and you know what he meant. Please stop.
Yeah, and please tell me how you can interpret that from seeing something on TV and knowing in the mind of somebody else.
Because I'm not dumb, and I'm not a Trump ball licker. Okay?
Yeah, and neither am I, but let me tell you something. It sure sounds like you've got an axe to grind.
I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth about what I saw and what I heard. I'm telling the truth.
Why did Putin go in and try to take Ukraine and take those positions? Why did he do that?
I don't really give a damn.
I know you don't. Because you're intelligent. And intelligent people don't give a damn. That's really, you don't look at the historical. You just say this is because you're a Trump ball.
I don't care nothing about them European countries that got a bunch of Nazis in their army. I don't care nothing about y'all.
Right.
I don't care the same way you don't care about my ancestors and the reparations we owe.
Man.
I don't care about yours.
This is where we're going. This is not even a conversation, my friend.
That's where y'all went, and that's where y'all been for 500 years. So this is where I'm at.
You're exhausting.
And
All right, so I want Nancy to get in on this, and then the Black.
Okay, I just wanted to say that, we were very close to World War III. I agree with a lot of what you say, Indy, in that, we haven't fought a just war in this country for forever. We've been lied into all kinds of wars for freaking ever. And there's a select group of people who have been making tons of money off of it. Not us, but they have been, and using our soldiers as cannon fodder. And I don't want our soldiers used for that. I only want them used for defense of our own country. I mean, I agree with you. The CIA largely has been used to overthrow foreign nations and put in our puppets. And our military funds both sides of the war, or the military industrial complex funds it, sells weapons to both sides of the war. And a few people make a ton of money off of it, which is why they want it. And the thing in Ukraine has been a huge money laundering operation. You got to know that was where Biden's son, that was where he was making all that money, right? And remember the big guy, was it 10% for the big guy that we all know was Biden? And the Republicans have their honeypot too. We just haven't found it. Man, the big honeypot there is with the military industrial complex, but which agency of government? I'm betting the Pentagon. So it's not just one party. It's really a uniparty is what we have right now, and we have had for a while. But we were getting very close. I mean, Putin had been warning us, don't keep pushing it, don't keep pushing it, don't keep pushing it, because we had made an agreement with them a long time ago. NATO did, that we would not add any more countries to NATO. For some strange reason, they didn't want any more countries with missiles pointed at their country, right? And remember back Cuba, how our country reasonably freaked out when Russia put missiles there, and we were freaked out because they could nuke us, basically. And the same thing that if Russia came in and did that to us, or China, in Mexico, we would reasonably freaked out. Well, that's the same thing. When this whole thing started, Ukraine was asking to be part of NATO. And I think that was one of the reasons, big reason why it started, because they're like, hell no, hell to the no. This is the end point. No, we've allowed you got away with adding all these other countries, but that's the end point. Plus, there's a ton of biolabs. A lot of people forget or don't know about. There's a lot of biolabs in Ukraine, and our CIA has been all over them for a long time. I mean, it's not something that I want, you want. Surely Trump doesn't want it. And we don't even know if they're doing gain of function research. The same thing that was going on in Wuhan lab that caused COVID. It scares the crap out of me. So Trump's trying, at least my understanding of it, is Trump is trying to bring the war to an end. Bring it to an end. I mean, no more killing. And yeah, we've lopped $350 billion over there, and we have no way to get it back. So he was trying to make a deal so we could get, because Ukraine's known as the breadbasket of the world over there. And it's got a whole bunch of stuff that we need to build stuff. Because like when we were over in Afghanistan for how many decades, China was over in Africa, taking it over and raping them of all their precious resources. So that's my understanding of it, Indy. I mean, we're not on a different side. Please don't make us on a different side. I think we're all for the same thing. Anyway, that's all I want to say right now. Thank you.
So why you don't talk to Putin like that? And like the way you spoke about the CIA, like I don't want you to minimize the CIA's role in destabilizing Black America when they put the crack in the Black communities. I
agree with you there.
Make sure you add that in there on the CIA.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the CIA. So you notice where I'm coming from. I'd like to see the CIA blown to blithers, the building. I'd like to see all of them fired. Yeah, we probably need a few of them to do stuff in other countries as far as keeping an eye on what's going on. But the whole thing, I want gone. So you know where I'm coming from.
Indy, I'd like to pose the question to you. What does real leadership look like? If this isn't real leadership, what does real leadership look like?
It looks I would say it wouldn't be an attack on diversity. I say that first.
On the international stage, I'm talking about in national security issues. What does real leadership look like? Would Kamala Harris have done a better job in a negotiation?
I can't say that. I didn't like their immigration policy, but I'm not an expert on foreign policy, so you might want to ask a more qualified person than me on foreign policy. So,
all right,
but
I respect that.
I do know that America's stance when dealing with that is to destabilize those countries and put in a puppet leader that's gonna do what we want. That's what I do know about. That's the only thing I know about that.
I understand. And one more question before we go to the black. What do you think is the best thing for America? Because you're an American and you live here and you have a business here from what I understand from listening to you and hearing and having a dialogue with you in the past. What do you think is the best thing for America? Is the best thing for America for us to control other countries and other parts of the world, or is it to allow other actors to enter the stage to control those areas?
Well, the best thing for America is to not attack the 1968 Fair Housing Act, which stopped people from discriminating in housing. And cutting grants to organizations that provide lawyers for people who can't afford, that need to sue for housing discrimination.
I understand.
Number one.
I understand.
Because housing is a big issue. So if people are able to discriminate and only allow certain kind of rich people or certain kind of people or the certain kind of immigration that they want, i.e. white South Africans that are coming from a pro-apartheid situation, I think that's problematic. And for people to sit up here and act like that's not, or try to create a policy where you're trying to stop all social media outlets from allowing people to talk about racial disparities. That just came out too. Look that up. Now I can't even talk about inclusion or racial disparities. Wow. Really?
I understand, but these are national issues. You first invoked an issue of this being about why
you asked me about leadership, period. So I'm just telling you things that makes me not have faith in a certain type of leadership. Okay.
Fair enough. But do you understand there is no genesis between that and what you said about us going and putting up puppet leaders in other countries to take them over so we can control them? There's no nexus between the two of those.
What? Wow.
Please walk me through. Take me through the calculus of how there's a nexus between us using the CIA to put puppets in and extract mineral resources from other countries and do our bidding, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968 being eviscerated. Take me through please.
I'm just saying, the same way you destabilize a country is the same way they destabilize the black community with the crack.
I got you.
Yeah, it's the same thing across the board. Like, they go into other countries, destabilize it, cut off certain supplies to things that people need, and then they make them lapdogs to them, because now they got to do whatever they say or whatever their agenda is to get something in return. So
I want to go to the black.
Shout out to you, Dana, and to you, Peter. How everybody else doing in the room? To be honest, I ain't gonna lie. I was very entertained about this, and I'm glad Trump came in and stand on his ground and was on some American business. Uh, to be honest, I don't like coked out Zelensky and him and his dancing leotards, whatever he used to do. I feel like he's a weirdo. And I'm tired of us giving money to different countries. I feel like that money should be best used in America. There's plenty of things we can use it on. Our infrastructure is old and outdated. We got pipes blowing up in different cities and counties. So yeah, I feel like that money should be best used here. I feel like if Zelensky was smart and he actually cared about his country, he would have made a deal with Trump, including the minerals, so we we could have a interest within America, then he could have got a couple of boots on the ground, which is that's what he wanted. But he he was so anti-Putin and steady pushing these fake talking points and not trying to get out this that narrative. He kind of pushed himself in a box where he can't get out of because we already see that the UN is not going to allow them in there. That's impossible. That's going to start a war out top. And the fact that people overlook that main point of why Putin is upset and he don't trust a lot of things that America does. Look, we the big brother for a reason. We have the most bombs. We actually, if we wanted to be a secluded country and just work out the minerals and stuff that we have, resources that we have here, we could survive. Most countries wouldn't survive. They have to trade with each other. So just us leading the trade and how people trade, it does benefit us in the long run. And also, yeah, we have a lot of bases, but we do buy a lot of minerals from most people. It be the other European countries that really just be stealing minerals from these independent African countries that they kind of oversee or they leftover colonies. We just try to make sure it don't get out of hand where it just look genocidal and sick. But yeah, I'm glad we got a actual leader in there that's actually sticking to his guns and not wavering in front of the first dollar amount or just because this one class of people are so upset and outraged. So yeah, this in the long run, this is going to benefit us, and I don't believe we'll ever. I ain't gonna say we're never gonna be at a World War III, but I feel like if America never gets involved in any wars, like the citizens choose not to enlist, which we have the lowest enlistment numbers in decades and generations, it won't be no war because can't nobody fight in the world without us. Because we make the bombs, we fund everybody, and then to actually end the war, we have to get involved to settle it. And most people understand once we pick a side, the other side gonna quit unless it's Russia or China. And it's better for us to get those world superpowers on their side of the planet to actually control their little area. I, look, at the end of the day, I don't know the difference between a Chinese and a Japanese person. I know they both Asian. So I feel like if we're going to deal with Asian countries, deal with the bigger countries so they won't feel slighted and want to bomb the small little Asian countries. And the same with Europe. Russia is the largest country in Europe, so you might as well deal with them more than you do with the European Union and the rest of the people that's part of the UN because they really just siphoning off of what we give them and lashing off our crumbs because they'll die out and we didn't benefit them at all because they barely have any resources. And it reminds me of the last time Trump was in office when he sat down with all them diplomats and he was like, how y'all want us to protect you from Russia, but you buying gas and oil from Russia. It's a double standard. So either you gonna pay us to be your protector, or you gonna pay us to be your middleman. One of the two. And I'll land there.
Appreciate that. Let me just say this before I go to plot, and then I Am Big, then Black Idaho. Can you imagine if it was Zelensky, Kamala Harris, and Tampon Tim in that Oval Office? What would the conversation have been like if that was the case? Totally different, and totally different to a point to where United States would have been writing checks constantly funding Ukraine. So
Kamala would have gave him that paper, and they would have went in the back and did a bump, and Tampon Tim would have been okay with the Ukrainians going with this LGBTQ stuff, and that's one of the reasons why the Russians is bad.
yeah,
Yeah, and we'd be having more weapon systems sent over there, and potentially having Russia retaliate against us with terror attacks across the homeland. That
right.
this is it would have been terrible.
So plot. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So, just for those of you that have never heard me before, I'm a professor in military science and history, and actually, I'm um, I'm working currently at the oldest ROTC program in the HBCU system. It is the very first one. Um, Lieutenant Alexander, the second African American to graduate from West Point, founded the program. So that's a little bit of where I'm coming from. So just a little backstory for you guys. Um, I'm listening to a lot of what's going on right now, and I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest with you, because even one of the greatest of our program, he was looked down on and rode his horse from Ohio all the way to Washington, D.C. to prove that he was capable of being a commander or a general and rise above colonel in the U.S. Army. And he did so when they told him, we don't want to progress your rank any further. And that's absolutely horrible. And a good point is that the White House was able to go back and basically posthumously promote him to brigadier general. What we're dealing with right now is the same kind of situation. We have someone who has come into the White House and said, "This is my position. This is where I stand, and you're going to do everything to promote me." But there's nothing behind it, because everything that we have done is give them the weapons, give them the personnel, give them the satellites and the data and the professionals that are able to use that system and be able to progress them further. And because we've done that for so long, it's it's like a teenager who's had the internet for years, and when you cut it off because they got grounded, they say, "Give it back to me," or "Here's what I'm going to do." Which might sound foolish, but it's basically the same thing. And that's how it feels to me Zelensky is. I mean, when Trump said this would have been over within a couple of weeks, he's not lying. This is absolutely how it would have gone. Without all of the systems that the U.S. government gave him, the munitions, the ability, and the professionalism that the Army and the Air Force and the Navy has, there would have been no way for him to be able to, like, it. The M2 Bradley was something that was given to him, and it was basically, here, take this Bradley, use it. We gave him M1 Abrams, and if you don't know, look up tanks in history. The M1 Abrams is probably one of the more advanced battle tanks in the history of tanks. We gave them to him, and it was considered a loan. But the problem is, we're not we're not taking anything back on the other side, which when Trump said, "We gave you $350 billion," it's not just in dollars, it's in equipment, manpower, and professionalism. And that gave them the ability to fight off Russia. It's the same thing that we have done for the past 50 years. It is a war against Russia through another country. The same thing happened in Vietnam. It happened in Afghanistan. It is, we're fighting Russia, but we're doing it through another country by providing them arms. So it's kind of an asymmetrical warfare situation. But it's us fighting them, but not so much in a country on country war. It's doing it through what we call a proxy war. So with that being the case, Zelensky is now in the middle of this, but because we have given him so much money, he believes he is entitled to more because he's gotten fat, rich, and happy off of what we've given him. So now he thinks he has a position of power, but he doesn't. With our arms, professionals, and equipment, this is going to go horribly. And I would say this, I caution anyone who backs Ukraine at this point. The very last thing that happened in this war, and I say this, and I really hope to God that it's not true. I see him as the type of person that would do anything and everything to move his position forward. The last thing that happened that we saw was the structure that contained Chernobyl was sabotaged. And right now it's being blamed on Russia. But for those of you that don't know, Russia immediately sent in workers to contain that Chernobyl structure, repair it, and ensure that that radiation did not spill out. 2 Russian citizens died repairing that structure, which means Russia sent in its own people and sacrificed them to ensure that no loss of life would happen after that structure was sabotaged. And if you look back, there are at least, and I say at least, 3 other variants of this that have happened. The Ukraine missile situation that was turned out to be blamed on Russia, but instead turned out to be Ukraine firing missiles on its own population. The train station that ended up being blamed on Russia turned out to be a Ukraine-fronted situation. And shoot, what was the last one? There's another one. This is the third one. The bridge. The bridge collapse that they blamed on Russia turned out to be Ukraine. And now you've got literally Chernobyl, which is irradiating Ukrainian citizens. And who came in to stop it? Russia. So the fact that Zelensky is claiming that Russia is the one who is the protagonist in this situation, I'm very highly doubtful of it. And it just falls along the path of what he's done before. And if anyone is going to back Zelensky in this situation, I'm very hesitant to do so, because anyone that would irradiate their citizens to the point that they would die, I cannot get behind them. So that's my thoughts.
Plot. It reeks of deep state, and it. When you were explaining what you were just explaining, I'm thinking of October 7th, and I'm thinking of the Israelis staging this whole attack on themselves so they could justify eviscerating and taking out Gaza, and then being able to step in, give the backing and the okay to Trump, and then put the beachfront property there. So that's what I think is literally, it's the epitome of deep state and all the intelligence agencies and exactly the parts they play. I know it's a very dark and unpopular opinion, but that's how I see it, using my own faculties.
Then why were the Palestinians cheering, Peter? Why were they, or the Gaza people, why were they cheering when?
Well, I think they cheered the same way they cheered September 11th, and I think the September 11th was also a Mossad operation.
Okay, I understand that, but why were the people of Gaza cheering in the streets when the bodies were being brought through there?
When you're talking about why they were cheering when the Hamas and Hezbollah allegedly terrorists flew kites into Israel, and
I'm talking about the bodies, Israeli bodies that were dead bodies, and the so-called prisoners. If it was Israel that did it, and I'm open to anything. If it was them that did it, why were they cheering in the street in Gaza when the bodies were being taken through there, the Israeli bodies?
I don't.
Why wouldn't they? They hate these people are bred from cradle to the grave to hate this other group, and this is the dichotomy that the deep state and the intelligence agencies use to pit people against people, so they don't realize that the ones who are the puppet masters are funding everything and controlling everything. That's why they were cheering, because they're brought up and they're bathed and they're steeped in the mother's milk of ideological hate. And this is what then sets man against man and allows the powers that be to continue to bilk all of us by using the fear, the boogeyman. Oh, we have to pay for this or else we won't be able to survive. You have to give us the money. You have to give us the ability to spy on you. We need to take more of your money. You got to pay taxes, and you got to pay tax on the tax. This is why they do that. They create, and you would know most people are uneducated, even in this country. I mean, there are a lot of retards walking around, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's a testament to our system.
Well, I would buy that a lot more had I not seen the video close up and personal with Hamas parading these bodies through the street. I would believe it a lot more. But
Nancy,
that was not. That was pretty. You know.
Nancy, who created Hamas?
Well, we did.
But we're getting far afield, but we can do that in another space. But that's my 2 cents, and I don't know, Plot, if you agree with me or disagree, but I'd love to hear your analysis on that point.
I want to go to Black Idaho.
Peace and blessings. You said Black Idaho, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, hey, Ms. Dana, how you doing? Hope all is well.
Good. How are you?
Hey, Peter, what's the good word? I hope you're doing well.
Thanks, man. Good to hear from you.
I was trying to keep it chill. And then I got an invite from Peter. So I said, well, you know what? The universe want me to speak. So I'm gonna go ahead, hop up here and talk my shit real quick. And I want to let everybody know that what I say is no reflection on Dana. It's my opinion alone. It has nothing to do with her. So please don't judge her. I want to say, before I continue, I want to say, I hope everyone's doing great. I hope you guys are taking care of your family. And I want to say, God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her. Hey, look. All right, so there's a couple different talking points, and so I'm gonna start with whatever his name is. I can't even say it right now. Before I go into anything else, I'm not even gonna go into anything. I'm gonna stay right there on Ukraine. What happened today needed to happen. It was a great showing. I think a lot of us never really get to see moments like that. And one thing I notice is when you beg for money, right? When you go beg somebody for something, you gotta look a little good. You gotta present yourself good. You gotta have a good, if I want a loan, I got a business loan. I gotta go to the bank and have a portfolio. I have everything lined up and say, hey, this is what I want. And I'm gonna come in a suit. And that's the one thing that got me. It's like, how dare you beg for money and some shit, you look like you just got off the battlefield, Captain. You look like you look like you barely washed up before you got there. And a couple people said that. And then you come there begging for money. So a lot of people vote blue no matter who, like Indy, come up here simping. I think that's very weird, man. Stay out
I
the
don't
way.
vote blue no matter who.
Look,
You're
yeah,
wrong.
look, he was waiting for me to say something to him. Look, man. I think we gotta come on, man. You gotta be great. We're Black Americans. Look, man, if anything, I want my reparations. I think the money that's being spent over there should not be spent over there. I don't support it at all. I'm a big American. All my fathers and my lineage fought in every single motherfucking war. That's why I'm so brave now out here in Idaho. Matter of fact, the snow is thawing out, Dana, right now. I would have invited you to come out here and ski and stuff, but hey, the snow is thawing out and I'm feeling good right now because God bless America, the safest place in the goddamn universe. Why you think everybody want to come over here, man? Why you think everybody want what we got? Now, if you don't want to protect that, why don't you take your scary ass back to wherever the hell you want to go and stay up out of the brave folks' business? Okay? Now is not the time to be acting all scary. We got to get our money back. We got to protect our borders. There's so many things that we have to do as a nation. Look, some of us aren't even on the same playing field. Some of y'all don't even understand the words that are coming out of my mouth right now. Some of y'all think I talk too fast. Some of y'all think I'm not articulate enough. There's a lot of things that we have to do as Americans, right? And we have no business always lending and being there for every goddamn. So when President Trump did that thing, when he made that executive order making English the number one language, I was like, right on, man. Goddamn, do something great. That made me blush. Because now it's a perfect time to be American, man. It's a perfect time. And I still want that $5,000. I hope he cut them checks. And I'm gonna hold right here on I can't even say his name. Lizinski. I want to say something else.
Zelensky.
Zelensky, yeah, I feel you. I feel him. Zelensky. Look, and his people are all over here and they hiding out, Peter. Peter, tell him to come take his people and go go fight that good fight. And stop messing. Look, stop poking a goddamn bear. You know how many battles I've been in? I'm from the ghetto. Okay. I'm from Chicago. I'm from the south side of Chicago. You know how it was a hard fight to make it and be brave out here in Idaho. You know how many times I had to fight? He got to do the same thing. He got to show his people that he's willing to stand up and fight. And if you don't want to fight, hey, man, be brave enough to say, hey, I want to tap out. And look, don't you want peace, Peter? I want peace. I don't want all this goddamn violence, all this white on white violence. I'm sorry. That's what it is. A whole lot of European on European violence. And I thought, look, you motherfuckers better not ever bring up Chicago, goddamn
But
it.
he's up on the F word.
I'm sorry. Oh shit. I'm sorry. I said everything I say. There's no reflection of Dana. God dang. Okay, Dana. I'm gonna slow down right here and I'm gonna chill.
No, we're on YouTube, Idaho.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
why
No. No. No.
YouTube
No. No.
censors us for the F word.
I know. I'm gonna chill right here. I want to, because I do want to talk about the DI, and then I also want to talk about Al Sharpton. So I'm gonna chill right here. Zelensky. I think that he should have came in with a suit, Dana. I think he should have came in with a suit, and I think he should have just talked to them a little more gracefully. And it was a bad look. You don't come begging for money, looking like you're gonna rob the place. And I'll mute my mic right there. Thank you for having me up here.
But that's why he wore because he's been robbing. So
Yeah, he looked like he was gonna stick me up after he
he
leave
wants
that
some
thing.
more
Hey,
money.
hey,
Yeah.
Dana, what Trump do? He said, "Hey, get him up out of here."
Trump said my guns are bigger and quicker. So
No, look, no,
like
no.
kick rocks.
How fast he got him up out of that White House? You know he cried in that Suburban. You know he cried in that Suburban. And I'm
Did you
Right.
see the beginning when he walked in? He's like, "Oh, I'm glad you look. He dressed up today." He said that to the press as he was walking in. It was hilarious.
So, all right, I want to go to Chris L. Hotep. I don't know what's going on with your connection because it wouldn't connect you as speaker. So maybe you
Yeah,
should
we're
go.
trying to bring you up.
Yeah, maybe you should go out and come in because you're probably at work and maybe that's why. So go out and come back into the space and then try again and see what happens. So I want to go to Chris and then we'll segue into the Chicken George segment.
Hey, great show, great energy. Thanks for having me up.
Oh,
My
thanks for
man
being
Black
here.
Idaho. Thank you. My man Black Idaho brought the truth. Hey, look, the reality is the guy came today in the White House with the green pajamas on, right? The green pajama suit. But in the past, he was wearing a gray T-shirt. So when Trump met him at the door, he said, "Oh, you dressed up today." He was talking to him like one of his little kids coming to breakfast at the table, right? That's what he was used to. So he's like, "Hey, this is an upgrade here." So right away, he let him know exactly where he stood. Guys in there just, acting like we didn't do enough for him. Like, he needs us. Like, he's trying to appeal to our humanity. And after that, you get all these tweets from these world leaders. I even tweeted it out. They all had the same line about midway through it. They were like, we appreciate how you're fearless and brave. Data Republican had a tweet on it. I had one about an hour up before that. But yeah, it was the same line, the same messaging, the propaganda. These people want World War III. And it's so funny how things change politically, right? Because if you remember when he ran the first time, it was like, hey, this guy's going to hit the button. He's going to launch nuclear missiles. We're going to be in World War III. All of a sudden, they get a war going with Joe Biden. Trump comes into office, and we want peace through strength. And everybody wants a war. They flip. They're flip-floppers, man. They don't stand for anything. They just want to oppose anything he does. And reality is that guy needed to be taught a lesson today. He needed to be taught a lesson. He came into the White House with an attitude, acting like an ass, didn't even take off his shoes before he came in on the carpet, just put his feet right up on the desk. It's like, what are you going to do for me? You know? hey man, we don't owe you anything. And my message to Europe and Canada and all these countries is we don't owe you anything financially and we don't owe you anything militarily. We got cities in the U.S. we need to take care of. We got New Orleans, we got Chicago, we got cities where we have failed our people educationally, food. We got enough food in the Midwest to feed the entire world. Why does it not happen? Our governments screw it up. So it's time to limit the government. The government's gotten way too big. We got a bureaucracy. We got way too many people working in government, screwing up things, too much red tape. We need to downsize our government. We need to take care of our citizens. We need to put the power back in the people. The government works for us, right? And so the reality is, just through talking and conversation, we're going to come to common ground. We're more alike than we're different. That's the issue. What these globalists have tried to do is divide us. They want us to look at differences. They want us to look at, the smallest differences and then have us oppose each other and hate each other. Because if we're a united force working in the same direction and rowing in the same direction, then that's powerful. And that scares the hell out of the elites. That's why this Epstein thing went on for so long, right? They cover for each other. They look out for each other. They're stealing from us through USAID and all this other stuff they do on the Capitol. Guys, I grew up in the D.C. area. I still live in the D.C. area. I know what the hell's going on. There's things the media won't even cover. We've had to go to podcasts and X so you get the real information. I was talking to somebody tonight who works for the federal government. We were talking about the Sean Ryan podcast. Person was telling me they talk about things the media won't even talk about. I mean, that's really what's going on, guys. That's really what's going on. And, hey, the reality is we got to help each other. We got to lift each other up, work together. We're one America. We got a great country. And like Idaho said, we got the safest country in the world. There's a reason everybody wants to be here. But what we got to do is we got to take America first. We got to make America as best we can. We need to end foreign aid. We need to end this AIPAC influence. We need to quit acting like Israel runs this country. That's our greatest threat right now. We want to talk about China. We want to talk about, people say like Russia's a threat. Russia's not a threat. They don't want to be involved with anything with us. China's going to try to steal from us and have trade advantages. But the reality is we get involved in things intelligence-wise that the media doesn't know about, the community doesn't know about. And, you look at Epstein. FBI knew about Epstein back in 1996. Why was nothing done? Well, Bill Clinton was president. Guess who the director of the FBI was? A guy named Louis Freeh. Didn't do anything. Buddies with Clinton. Guess who the attorney general was? A guy named William Barr. Same attorney general Trump later had. You can fact check me on all this. And guess who William Barr's father was? He was in the CIA as well. And did you know William Barr's father wrote a science fiction novel on sexual exploitation of minors in the 70s that was published? I got a post on it. I can prove it to you. Guess what else? Not only did he write that book in the 70s on sexual exploitation of minors, he was also the head of a school in New York. He was the head of the school. He was the principal. Guess who he hired? He hired
Epstein.
a college dropout, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
Start looking into this stuff. Start looking at these connections. Start seeing how far back this stuff goes. It will blow your mind. And it's all true.
Chris,
FBI knew about this. CIA knew about this. They did nothing about it. Our children are everything. We got to protect our children. We got to end child trafficking. And with that, I'll yield the mic. Thank you.
Dana with the data. Dana with the data.